Hey everybody, Baldoric here. Today we are taking a look at Olwen, who just got her brand new Resplendent outfit. And we're going to be taking a look at a couple different ways to build her, whether you just got her and you want to use her, whether you have some copies and you're merging her up and you want to figure out different ways you can use her in the different modes. We are going to be talking about some builds today. Now, let's get into the first one, which is going to be an AR build. Now, typically I have the weapon up in the top right corner, but for Dire Thunder, I think we all know what it does. Everyone has encountered Reinhardt at least once in their life, so we know what Dire Thunder does. Speed -5, it allows her to attack twice when she's initiating combat. So, let's talk a little bit about this AR build and why I think it can work on offense, though truthfully I do think it will actually work better on defense, but we will get into that. Now, the reason I think this works on offense is not as your main attacker, but as your follow-up. So you want to have one sweeper that's going to go in and do the majority of the work. Go in, get those kills, get the necessary kills, do some cleanup, and then she can come in and take care of anyone else that is not dead. Now, being a Resplendent hero, most likely she is going to be a bonus unit at some point, and when that does happen, you could use her with something like this, to have her as a side unit to your teams that already have a carry, and she's going to be able to clean up very nicely. Now, if you wanted to use her on defense with like a cav line, all you'd have to do is switch the blessing for the appropriate season, and the build still works. But let's talk a little bit about why I'm using Swift Sparrow on this build, because you might not be aware. So even though she does attack twice with her weapon, depending on the speed check you can hit, she can actually attack 4 times if the speed is correct, and you can nullify it so that the opponent is not still able to double on her or something to that effect. So you still want to make sure you are making your correct speed checks, even though you're already going to be attacking twice. It helps her survive, it helps you potentially quadruple your opponent, so it's an important thing to have. Plus, it also, with the Swift Sparrows, you're also getting that extra bonus to attack, which is going to help deal the additional damage. Now, her attack stat is low. You definitely need to make sure that she's getting doubles or quadruples, so that is important. Which is why we're also using lull speed and res, to not only give her just a little bit more damage, but a little bit more of that on that speed check, which is going to help her very much when she is securing kills. Pulse Smoke is to ensure that the people around her and the enemy team do not get their specials off, which is good for your team. It's good on defense, good on offense, it's basically good all around. One of the best C slots in the game. Definitely recommended. So, and that basically your standard Reinhardt build with a little bit of a difference thrown onto her. You can build her exactly like you build Reinhardt. If you have Reinhardt, it's basically just like a gender swap. So, strong unit, works well on offense and defense. Give it a go if you are really interested in trying her. But let's move on to the arena build, which is where I think she really shines. Now, there's not a whole lot difference. This is obviously going for max invest, which means there are skills that are put on here for the reason of they are high vested skills. You can alter these. Now, we're still using the Swift Sparrow skills because we do again want to make those speed checks. We do again want the additional attack. She has less attack in this mode because on the other one I was factoring in Naga and Altina as allies, which does mean that she is going to have a little bit less on those stats in her arena build. However, as long as you have allies that are able to buff her, she's going to be okay. Now, with the addition of Joint Drive Attack, you are getting a little bit more attack, which combos very nicely because her attack stat is low, but when you initiate combat, she's going to be getting enough to do a severe amount of damage, especially since it's a guaranteed double, possibly a quad if you're facing like an armor or some kind of foe. Now, Ruptured Sky is great because it's a high scoring special with a 2 charge. It does extra damage against dragons, it does 40% damage additional against dragons and 20% regularly. Great skill to have anyways, premium but a great skill. Rally Attack Res, it's just a premium skill. Honestly, if you have anything in this slot, it's fine, but if you're looking for the scoring, you do want to have one of those types of skills. So, other than that, just about the same build, very powerful cleanup unit, definitely can go in and get some kills no problem. Works on just about any team. Now, lastly, we are going to talk about the budget build. So let's say you just pull her, you got the Resplendent version of her, you have like a no IVs, what do I build with this unit? So here's an example build. Now I say example because there are very different ways you can build a unit like this, and I'm going to go over a couple of them. I'll just talk about them, I don't have them here, but I will talk about the differences. I do think it's important to have either Swift Sparrow 2 or Death Blow 3 if you're going on a budget, because you do want that additional attack stat for sure. The speed stat isn't as important at low invest, but depending on what you're doing, it actually does still end up being fine once you factor in 2 Swift Sparrows, right? Because with 2 Swift Sparrows, her speed goes up just enough where she should be able to get out of most low speed checks. Nothing high end, but low speed checks, as long as you're not doing anything crazy, she is going to be able to meet those numbers. And her attack's going to go up a decent amount. Drive attack is just there to help your allies around her in case you're just using her as a bonus unit. Chill res, again, is another thing that's either going to be helping her pick out important targets or helping your allies depending on who else you have there. It's a good thing to have. Now, something you can do different here is instead of chill res, because that is still relatively difficult to get. You can get it within like the heroic grail pool and units and regular pool units. I think you have to 5-star a couple of them, but anyways, you could also do one of the breaker skills, like a blue tome breaker, a lance breaker, something like that. Why? Because you can get some guaranteed doubles and some basically it ensures kills, and it does actually work fairly well with Dire Thunder. Now, she does have her other tome that you could be using, but I personally think in most situations, Dire Thunder is going to trump it just a little bit. So just something to keep in mind when building this unit, especially if you're going for low invest. Dire Thunder honestly works fantastic, so it's really not too much of a concern. Now, for the arena build, you may want to switch into that other weapon, but I personally think just keeping the Dire Thunder is fine, and it works great. So, you can alternate a couple things. If you have a Cav team, you might want that C slot to be something like a Hone or a Goad Cav, something to that effect. But besides that, I think this build is going to work fairly well. It's going to do the job, going to pick up kills, and it's going to work for your team. So, that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, consider subscribing. I'm going to be putting out more videos just like this one whenever some heroes come out. Usually Tempest Trial units or single units like Resplendent and things like that. I actually missed the Tempest Trial unit for this time around. There was a lot going on, so I just didn't have time to do it this time. So I might try to get that one out a little bit later, but I think I'm just going to skip that one this time. Which is unfortunate because I actually do like the unit, but we'll see. Maybe I'll put something on Twitter instead. That being said, you can follow my Twitter or my YouTube page. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time.